There we go. Hello, can you?
Hello. Okay, when you're on. All right, greetings. Yes. Hi, how are you doing? Welcome. Marcel, if you can hear me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, I'm hearing. Give thanks. Bless up.
Oh, you can. Okay, all right. Well, okay, everybody's in. Greetings. Hello, hello, hello. All right, I'm gonna jump out of here. So you guys will be on camera. Good morning. Good morning. We got Marc, Provost, Marshall Emmanuel. Thank you very much for joining us. There might be a little glitch soon, but that's fine. I'm gonna jump out. You guys are gonna be on one camera. I'm gonna be in the other. So why don't you guys go? And yeah, we'll get started. Go right ahead. Thank you.
How's it going?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, man. Sure, man. Pleasure, man. You know, how is everything?
Oh, good. Cold, snowy.
Right. I see where you have former educator for like Canopy Growth Corporation.
Correct. Yeah. I was Canopy Growth's first product information specialist, and when I left, I was the director of learning and development. I was responsible for all the cannabis-related training for the company, and also some external partners like legislators, retailers, and provincial bodies that oversee the regulatory market here in Canada.
Okay, the reason why I actually asked because I did some consultancy for like them here. That's with Steve Baker.
Yeah.
And so on. You know, I did that for like 2 years, and then things never really worked out in favor of Canopy in terms of Jamaica. You know, so we all know about the ups and downs. So yeah. So that's why that like stood out to me.
There's I don't know much
about Bruce Linton.
Yeah, I do know
the two guys that I met with and stuff.
Yeah, I know Steve Baker and I know Bruce Linton as well. I worked with Bruce. I was employee number 25 at Canopy. I started back in 2014. So yeah, I know all the original people there.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So is Omari coming back or?
Well, he said 10 o'clock. I commit like I tell him like I can commit like a hour for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's exam period. I'm a university lecturer. So now it's exam period. Got a lot going on with students and the online platform. Because everybody's trying to adjust to online stuff and all that. And yeah, I think for like us academics, the workload has increased, Yeah.
For sure, yeah. Studies have been a big thing. I'm enrolled in some courses as well. It's definitely been something to do during the pandemic that you can do from home. But for sure. How has the pandemic been there in Jamaica? Has it hit you guys?
Yeah, well, the government has been trying their like best to manage things, but how do you manage that and manage your economy? That is the two things. So now you have to sort of give and take. So we are having cases, numbers are climbing, but it's not like rapidly. Like it's still on a level where it's sort of being managed.
Well, that's good. It's good to hear.
Hi guys, hi. What's up? We're still waiting for AC to come in. She is on the west coast, so she is expected to be slightly late, but that's fine. Yes. So sorry, we did lose our connection for a second. The broadcast was lost, but I'm glad that you guys continued talking. So I guess I heard Marshall was asking Marc about yourself. Have you introduced yourself to Marc, or to the audience?
Yeah, well, I'm a university lecturer. I do research on cannabis. I'm a horticulturalist. My area of research was focused on post-harvest of tropical fruit and vegetables from a PhD work. And since decriminalization you know, having been growing cannabis for like 20 years, is only fitting that I can contribute meaningfully to the research and development of such a sector here. So I am the vice chair for the Bureau of Standards Cannabis Technical Committee. We drafted 3 standards that has been published: a cultivation standard, a processing standard, and a packaging standard. And yeah, I've published papers in terms of the Caribbean, Jamaica, cannabis work. And yeah, we do breeding with stabilized strains. We look at the efficacy throughout the cannabis value chain. How do we maintain environmental stewardship, but whilst in the same time maintaining proper health and safety, you know, protocols. So that pretty much sums it up.
Right on, excellent. When we have our regulations and standards meeting tomorrow. In fact, we are going to be meeting someone from the Bureau of Standards. If I'd known, I would have asked you to join that as well. If you're free tomorrow morning, you know, you can jump in if you wish. Well, thank you very much for that. And Marc, let me bring you back in here as well. So, well, I guess today we're still, like I said, AC is going to be a little bit late. So I guess today we wanted to talk a lot about, well, a little bit and a lot about. I guess the first thing to do is let me ask you myself, well, first of all, Marc, you've been to Jamaica before, but have you been to like some of the farms and so on and all that?
I haven't toured like any, private farms or anything like that. I have been to a couple of places around Runaway Bay, and to be honest, the thing that I guess the question I have, the first one coming off my head from Michelle, is in terms of outdoor growing in Sensimilla and the size of the island, and knowing the ability for pollen to spread on a beautiful Caribbean breeze for up to, you know, several kilometers, up to 20 to 25 kilometers from what I've read. How do growers in Jamaica keep from their outdoor plants from being pollinated and going to seed?
Right. So that's a very interesting question, and I will answer that in twofold. You know, what I can say is we have definitely seen what pollen can do based on the hybridization that you currently see throughout Jamaican cannabis. Whereas, you know, back in the 1970s, 1960s, we like all grew narrow leaf drug types, which would flower for like 15 to 17 weeks. But now the cannabis throughout, you know, Jamaica, it is really dominated by a sort of hybridized version where it flowers between like 8 to 10 weeks. So this is a result based on the level of hybridization that took place, where in the 1980s, early 1990s, where the first indica sort of more cultivars hybrids came in: AK-47, White Widow, Hawaiian Skunk. Those are the 3 that stand out to me. And what happened is these seeds came from Holland, and they actually came for practical reasons because of the heavy law enforcement and eradication. That plant, if you plant it from seed, you would actually harvest it within like 12 weeks. So it would stay very small because the Jamaican climate is really a 12-12 photo period throughout the year. So the plants don't veg. Whereas now, in terms of contrast to the narrow leaf drug types, now they have a longer flowering time, so they will grow and develop a little bit more biomass before going to flowering. So you could see the level of hybridization that took place throughout Jamaica. There is only one pocket in Jamaica where you could possibly find narrow leaf drug types, which is in 9 Mile, St. Anne's. And the reason for that is because they do the chakras. They like rub the plant, so you can't use a short flowering time plant to like collect the finger hash. So it's for practical reasons. But moving forward in terms of today's cultivation styles, where you have people growing from more feminized seeds, growing from clones, that sort of mitigates the like whole concern of cross-pollination. And if you grow cannabis, you're really growing it for the female flowers. So what happens within the more traditional cultivators is they have issues with their, genetics, because they would see the pure males and be able to cull them as soon as they see them, but they don't necessarily detect the, hermaphrodites as well as the males. So what happened, you tend to have hermaphrodite pollen being pollinating cannabis plants, and generally when you buy some, traditional growing cannabis, you will see seeds in there. So there's 90% chance that this was not pollinated by a male, but a hermaphrodite. So those hermaphrodite genes perpetuate generation after generation. So if a traditional farmer is equipped with 100 seeds, possibly 50 of those going to be hermaphrodite, and 25 male and 25 female. So if you are growing and you germinate 100 seeds, you're going to have to cull 75. So it really shows you how stabilizing genetics and sort of trying to, develop cultivars that could, proliferate within the equatorial climate more. This is what the farmers would need to help them. And they also have suffered from some type of diseases like a tobacco mosaic virus. So, and those things can be transmitted through pollen. So it is important that farmers practice due diligence when, cultivating. So within cultivation belts where you have a high concentration of, farmers, the chance of cross-pollination is definitely a threat. But within the more licensed dispensary growers, they more invest in feminized seeds, and they have infrastructure to maintain mothers and asexual propagation.
You answered my second question there as well, in terms of veg time, knowing the climate there and knowing that you guys get 12 hours of sunlight year round. It's interesting because of the climate, you guys actually look for varietals or cultivars that are different from what we look for here in Canada, because we have such a short growing season, even those who grow indoors like myself, and those growing outdoors, because our flowering season is really from August till the end of September. We really only have 8 to 9 weeks to get a plant to flower. So we're looking at those, I hate the term indica and sativa, but those broadleaf drug type plants that have a shorter flowering period, because if they go into October, they'll freeze and die.
Right.
So, yeah, and same with indoor growers, right? Because they want plants that'll stay short. We can't grow plants that'll grow 6-8 feet tall, because we're limited by height and where the lights hang and so on and so forth. So it's interesting to see how depending on where you are in the style of growing, it's an indication. It's proof that you need to tailor what you're growing to your style and your environment.
Right. And what I can actually say to you need to know, what is your end product? Are you growing for fine finished flour? Are you growing for oils, concentrate? So depending on that, it would make an informed decision based on what type of cultivars. So recently, my students conducted an experiment where we grew a plant that has more indica characteristics and a plant that has narrow leaf drug type, long flowering time, and the bed's dimensions were 3 feet by 3 feet wide by 30 feet long. And these, and we will put about 25 plants within that bed, and these plants of the both cultivars were veg for 6 weeks and then transplanted out within the flowering beds. And and the data was very contrasting based on significant differences, because whilst at a more indica short flowering time, we got about 4 to 5 pounds from that one bed, the narrow leaf drug type that went on to flower for like 15 to 17 weeks, we actually got 14 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, that plant's going to continue to grow, and because it's got that longer flowering cycle, it's going to continue to grow during that flowering cycle, right? So that's where the extra yield is coming from.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Are you guys hearing me all right?
Yeah, man, I'm hearing you.
Yeah, hello?
Yes?
Yeah. Were you hearing me before when I was, you did? I tried something else. Anyways, AC's around, so she's gonna jump in shortly to join the conversation. Yeah. All right.
So
okay, no, change of plans. AC having with their camera. So go ahead, finish up, and then we'll just get started. In fact, I'm gonna go talk to AC real quick. She's having problems with her camera. She's in the room but having problems. You guys continue. I'll be right back. All right.
Well, man, that was me on Tuesday. I get it.
Yeah. And the fact that we are in an equatorial climate where humidity is high, temperatures gets really high. The polyploidy hybrid genetics definitely were tailored for more indoor type cultivation. So growing some of these strains within the tropical climate outdoor, there are definitely different challenges that we have to face. Like when I do pheno hunting, in terms of looking for the best possible mother plant to have. If the plant has big, dense buds, it's a total reject, because at the level of, mole and botrytis, you're just gonna lose, because every morning you wake up in the Caribbean, the grass is gonna be wet. That means there is 100% moisture based on the night dew at some point during the night, So the more airy buds, not too airy, but in between, gives a better chances,
Yeah, and you know what, that makes perfect sense to me. When I'm growing indoors, I'm looking for the exact opposite, because I've got complete control over the environment, right? So I can keep my relative humidity at 40 to 50%, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, but I can't grow tall plants. So I want really chunky buds to make up for the yield that I'm losing from having to grow small plants.
Yes.
Right? So it's interesting to see how we're literally looking for the complete opposite, but within our environments, they perform the best. That's really cool to note. And that airiness obviously is going to add more airflow to the flower, allow it to dry off more quickly. You're not going to get the botrytis setting in like it would if you just left it. Absolutely.
Yeah, so what I always tell people, like the market, the legal market here is pretty much dominated by foreign direct investment. So you have people from like Canada, like in terms of canopy, like they wanted to fly in a plane with 2,000 clones. So and the greenhouse wasn't that suitable based on the temperature flow and certain things. So in terms of, you can't expect to replicate a blueprint in a temperate climate and bring it within the tropical place with the same genetics, same soil, same growers who never spent a day within the tropical sun to really understand the innovation or the difference in cultivation style to really get commercial yields. And the issues with like that is really how like do you understand your like market, what is it you are trying to grow and what is it you are trying to achieve based on biomass. In the tropical country, like here, we have the natural sun. So one of the biggest criteria would be to reduce your energy costs and rely on the solar radiation as much as possible. So we have significant concerns vegging. So if you extend the day slightly, you could get a bigger veg plant and flower the plant naturally within the sun. But what we need, what our energy consumption bill should really focus on is more post-harvest and storage, because this is where things can go really bad based on the tropical climate, because the level of heat and temperature fluctuations could really damage your product significantly post-harvest.
That's actually a wonderful point. That another question that came to mind for me is, like, when I dry and cure my product, I'm obviously doing it in a temperature controlled environment. But for the average Jamaican, that's probably impossible. So how does one in Jamaica dry and cure their product to ensure, especially with the amount of humidity and dew in the morning? Like I'm thinking if you're drying in a shed or outside in your garage, you're going to wind up with mold.
Yeah, and that has been a significant challenge based on, cannabis presenting itself to be brown in color. You don't get the terps, you don't get the flavor, because you are, destroying those trichomes.
Yeah. Terpenes being the most volatile compound on the plant, they're gone first, right? And they don't come back. Once they're gone forever. And especially with you guys flowering a plant for 15 plus weeks, you've put all that work into your plant, and then you dry it and it turns brown and smells like hay.
Right. So what I always tell my students and stuff, you are trying to grow a temperate plant in a tropical climate. That is really what it is, right? And everything you grow cannabis for is these trichome glands. The trichomes maintain a certain efficacy when they are preserved at a certain temperature and humidity, because they are there for particular reasons on the plant to preserve that seed, to prevent anti-herbivory. So everything you grow cannabis for is in those trichome glands. So once you harvest that plant, everything you do now is to preserve the integrity and efficacy of these glands. So what happens in the tropical climate is the temperature fluctuation sometimes within the day will go higher than 30 degrees Celsius. So within that now, the trichomes, the larger bulbous trichomes, which you really want to preserve, that really synthesizes the cannabinoids, terpenoids, flavonoids, those tend to melt and fall off the plant. And then you get, the high CBN, because of the heat, the oxidation taking place converts the THC to its isomeric forms, such as CBN. And we know CBN gives that more lethargic head euphoria. Cannabis within Jamaica, traditionally grown, traditionally cured and stored, tends to have a higher concentration of CBN than its form THC, which I want to preserve. So this, in terms of the present market within Jamaica, makes a huge dispensation or a great disparity based on the price margin. So cannabis that is cured in temperature controlled, humidity rooms, looks green, maintains color, cured in darkness, that price could be higher as much as like 20-fold compared to cannabis that has been so you can buy the like hay brown looking cannabis for like, let's say $50 Jamaican, which is $140 to $1 US. You could buy about a gram of that for like $50 Jamaican. But if you want to get like properly seedless cured flowers, you will be looking to spend at least $1,500 to $1,000 for that gram.
That's well, and it's for people who consume regularly like myself, it's worth the difference because the taste and the experience is entirely different. Like you said,
it's superior.
Yeah, that CBN conversion process must happen exponentially in your climate because it's so hot. If you're drying your cannabis and if one doesn't know better and it's in full sun, you're literally melting the trichomes off the plant. Which really explains how why the cannabis or a lot of the cannabis that I've experienced in Jamaica has made me feel really lethargic. It makes a lot of sense. That's one of the benefits, I guess, of living in an environment where we have snow half the year is that we're forced indoors, so everything gets done indoors. So it's good and bad in a way, though, because the regulatory market here, once it got legalized, it underestimated how advanced the illicit market had been, and in doing these things correctly. And it created an environment where the average Canadian cannabis consumer has very high expectations.
And with globalization and social media, we see where the perception of how cannabis should look has been really dominated by the California market.
Yep.
Like straight nugs, pretty looking buds, good smell. So that has benefits and negatives as you mentioned, because if you walk into any dispensary within Jamaica, it's all.
What's up, guys? Excuse me. Sorry to break this up. We had more technical problems because I've been trying to talk and you guys are not hearing me because we're actually not coming out of this. We're coming out of somewhere else. It's been a great conversation, but I have not been able to interact, which I would have liked to many times. I thought you were hearing me, but you're clearly not. But we're all on camera now, so everybody's seeing this. But yes, I don't. Anyways, it should have filtered through appropriately. I don't know why it did not, because it should have come through OBS. All right, great. Anyways, AC is missing star again. We're trying two ways and means to get her inside here, but I'm realizing I might have some more technical problems than I even thought that I did have. I do apologize for that. You guys are having a great conversation. I wish I could have been I could be a more active part of it. I've been missing quite a bit. But anyways, let's pick up. I'm gonna try to track down AC as well. In fact, carry on with the conversation. I'm gonna try to track it down because I don't, I feel weird having lost her somewhere in the ether and so on and so forth. So forgive me, but carry on, please.
You're right. It does have an adverse effect because the expectations are high, and producing at that quality level on a commercial scale is almost impossible.
Challenging. But like what I was saying, if you walk into any dispensary within Jamaica, the menu is trying to mimic or resemble that of like a California menu or a Dutch menu. Everybody wants like cookies and that sort of stuff, and not really focusing on developing the equatorial sativas that could make a significant difference based on the economic value that these equatorial sativas could bring, based on yield, based on just the difference in euphoria, which could have a total different marketing connotation, because the terps, the flavonoids that these equatorial type plants produce are very different compared to the more modern type, the gas, the fruits and the citrus stuff,
Yeah, and that's I think the angle that you guys should be taking, right? That's presenting something that really represents what the Jamaican climate can produce, right? That's the differentiator there.
Yeah. So when like you come to visit Jamaica, you should be looking to consume equatorial types of tea, not the same stuff that you are accustomed to. You want that difference,
Well, I'm going to be emailing you the next time I'm in Jamaica.
Sure. You're welcome, you know. You're welcome to come and visit me at the university too, you know.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Which university do you teach at?
Of the West Indies.
Okay.
UE.
Oh, very cool.
The most prestigious university within the Caribbean, you know.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. There's campuses in several countries, is there?
Yes, campuses in Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica.
Yeah, I've been to Barbados as well. Yeah, that's why I keep going back to Jamaica.
Yeah, so how are things looking based on Canada with like COVID and the whole cannabis industry, because things took a little downturn where the stock market dropped and so on. What is your perception on that?
Yeah, major corporations in Canada really underestimated the complexity of producing a quality product, a consumer packaged good here that the market was really going to want. And vertical integration, I think, are companies that do everything from A to Z in the market. I think we're proving that business approach doesn't really work that well, because what's happening is we're starting to see the closure of large scale facilities. Hey,
what's up? Sorry to bother again. Yeah, this today seems to have been a mess. We're not broadcasting right now. At least we're broadcasting, but they can't hear us. Yeah, I realized what I think I know exactly what I screwed up. You guys weren't hearing me speaking like while you guys were talking. You didn't hear me speaking to you guys at all.
No, not at all. We didn't even know you were there.
All right, I came in a couple of times. I know what happened. All right. Oh, all right. I don't even know how to fix that. All right. Give me a second. I know what I did wrong. Oh God. But it's good. This is good. It's recording and so on. So we got good information. Not exactly what I wanted to do, but it got some good information. I'll be again. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds to get my head and think, what am I doing here now? I need to kill this. All right, you got Hangout. I'm gonna leave the room. You might have to log back in. If you're logged out, just log back in 2 minutes. Yeah. And okay. we'll close off it then. Within 15 minutes we'll close off anyways. But I'm just gonna. Okay, I know what I did wrong. Hold on.
So yeah, the Canadian market is really shifting towards large scale facilities are closing down, or they're downscaling and laying off a lot of people. And we're starting to see that the quality is going to come from the smaller cultivators. There's a new license that was provided, well, a couple of years ago, called a micro